Hello, Buck. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you for letting me interview you. For the people who have never heard of you, who is Buck Angel?
Okay, so hi, I'm Buck Angel, and I'm a transsexual man, which means I was born a woman and I had a transition to a man 25 years ago here in Los Angeles, California. Now I live fully as a man. I had surgery on my chest, but the one thing people need to understand is I did not have a penis on the surgery. So I created movies in the pornography business as the man with the vagina 20 years ago. So I created pornography. And then from that, I sort of parlayed into public speaking and becoming a huge transgender activist. And now I'm much more of a human rights activist. So now I travel the world speaking about my transition from a woman to a man and sort of really working with a lot of the youngsters in the transgender community.
Do you believe that the porn industry is transphobic?
Well, no, I don't, because I'm in the porn industry. Now, I would say yes, early on back in the day, they were very transphobic. Today, they are not transphobic. Now, you also have to understand there are different genres in pornography. So there's trans, there's gay, there's straight, then when you get into that, there's all kinds of fetishes. So some people could say that trans porn is transphobic because they don't like the way women are being represented or men. But people say that with everything. You can say Starbucks is transphobic because they don't hire enough trans people, right? Yeah.
How old do you think someone should be in order for him
Uh,
to transition and
that's a
start
great
taking
question.
hormones?
I believe in mental health care. Okay, I believe that when somebody says I'm transgender, mommy, let's say they're 10 years old and they go, mommy, I think I'm transgender, or that child should go to a therapist or a psychologist or somebody that can help them. Today in America, I don't know in the other parts of the world, maybe the UK too. Today, a 10-year-old child can say, mommy, I'm trans. And that's all that child has to do. And the mom has to actually help this child to transition, no matter if the mother believes that might not be true or not, and without any mental health care. I am in total disagreement of that
Okay.
because children, yes, of course, because a child does know themselves, but maybe they don't.
What's your position on gender?
I am one of the people that most definitely believes in biology. I'm biologically female. I will never be biologically male. I can change my features. I grew a mustache and beard. I put muscles on, all of those things. But forever in my life on this earth, I will be biologically female. So yes, I believe biology exists. It's the reason we have to transition. If biology didn't exist, why would you transition? So that's sort of like the pushback I get from the transgender community, because there's some people who believe biology is socially constructed. I disagree with that. What's socially constructed is the way we act as the gender.
Also, there has been some debate about trans people in sports. What's your position
uh,
about that?
I understand why biological sports, women's sports, why biologically women in sports have a pushback on transgender women coming in and playing with them. Because on some level, transgender women do have a different anatomy. They have a different physiological strength than a biological woman has.
Talking about trans women in sports and talking about trans men in sports, because I believe that you have to take testosterone and a lot of like steroids.
That's
Should
right.
these people be tested before competing in a sport, or should we
Yes.
create a new like a trans women sport or
Right. I
trans
think
people
that,
sport? I believe.
yes, I think that's exactly how we're going to have to do it. So, what we have to do is we have to make a new league, like maybe the trans league. And then what happens is the biological people who want to compete in the trans league could do that. And then we start to sort of move forward and figuring out how we can integrate the two.
Imagine that a heterosexual man uh, doesn't want to go out with a trans woman. Is that
Mhm.
transphobic?
No. None of it. If nobody in the world wants to date you because you're trans, it doesn't fucking matter. People are allowed to date who they want to date. That's like saying a man who doesn't want to date another man is homophobic. That's not true. You're just not attracted to gay men or to men. And some people aren't attracted to transgender people. That's okay.
Imagine I know that you have transitioned to a man and you were a woman before, but my
Uh-huh.
ideology, I don't think that you can do that. And I still
Okay.
call you a woman. Do you
Okay.
think these people should be fined or should they be banned from Twitter?
No, I don't think so at all. I think that's disgusting that the transgender community is so fucking weak that they can't understand. Do you know how big the transgender community is? It's like 0.5% of the whole world population. So for us to go in and tell you that you can't call me a she or a he, that's ridiculous. People call me she all the time. It doesn't hurt my feelings. Do you want to know why it doesn't hurt my feelings?
Why?
Because I know why you're doing it. Because you have an agenda against me. And that's all I know. Because look at me, my friend. Do I look like a woman or a man? What do I look like?
Man.
So why would you call me she? Right?
Yes.
Because you're doing it to fuck with me. You're not doing it. So that's the problem with the transgender community, that they're very sensitive about misgendering. But you can't be sensitive like that if you want to. We have a bigger fight than that. And so, yeah, it hurts our feelings a little bit. But to actually kick somebody off of Twitter is so incredibly weak and actually dangerous, because once you start kicking people off, once you start burning books, once you start telling people they can't speak the way they want, you have now created a fascist dictatorship society. And I don't want to live in that. If you need to call me she, you go right ahead. I don't really give a shit. As long as I can call you asshole back.
As a trans man, should you tell someone who you are going to date that you were a woman before? Should that be something that people should know?
So that's a great question. And I think it's an individual thing. So for me, yes. And I call that disclosure. So whenever, let's say I meet you and we're in a bar and I want to have sex with you and you want to have sex with me, I will always tell you, hey dude, let me just tell you something. I used to be a woman and I had a sex change and I still have my vagina. You cool with that? And almost every time men are like, yeah, dude, that's hot. So that said, it is definitely an individual case-to-case experience. I personally believe you should do it. That's my opinion. You should do it. It'll alleviate any bullshit that could happen later on when they find out you have a vagina and then they freak out on you. And this way, I'm just like, here, dude, I have a vagina. Let's just either do this or not. And then we never have to talk about it again.
Feminists say that someone who was a woman and now changed to a man cannot be a feminist because they haven't experienced the same kind of oppression. What do you think about that?
Well, that's a stupid statement. First off, I can be a feminist and I'm a man because I used to be a woman. So there's that. Number two, if that's the stupidest, most destructive statement I've ever heard. Feminism is about creating an equal playing field for men and women. It's so men aren't here, women are here. It's the whole point of feminism is so that we meet here, that men and women are equal playing field. So if you're saying a man can't be a feminist, you're actually not a real feminist, because you need men as feminists in order to create feminism, in order for feminism to actually not exist anymore on some level.
Do you believe that Donald Trump is a transphobic?
Oh, he's for sure. He's a transphobe, a homophobe. He's a phobic about everything that isn't white, man, rich, fucking straight Christian. Other than that, everything else is off the table for him. So for sure, he's made transphobic remarks, and he most definitely doesn't like us. And he's the one who basically banned trans people in the military.
Where do you think this community is going in the future?
I have what we call gender dysphoria, which is a medical terminology saying that I've always been very anguished with my birth sex, which is a woman, and I never felt that way. So I had a sex change to become a man. I live binary today as a man. Today, I think the community has so many different levels of what trans is, and also they say that you don't need gender dysphoria to transition. And so I'm very much against that on some level, and also saying that that's why there's two different types of transitioning now.
Do you think that the way that people treat you as a trans man has changed in the last years?
Oh my God. I have the most amazing life. I travel the world. I have friends all over the world. Most of my friends are biological or cisgender people. I don't live in the transgender world. I live in the real world. I have all kinds of friends, every color, every sexuality, everything. And so the world actually loves me. I have the most amazing life. And I can only equate that to me living my life. Okay, right on, my friend. Thank you so much. Stay in touch with me. Okay, my friend. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.